It's just not fair. I had to hand over the van keys because Mr. Rence cheated. Mr. Dugan was clearly on their side and he rigged that game.
I know. That's why I walked into the room to try and take control. I managed to gain it for a little while, but they outsmarted us. I'm sure they put something in your drink to incapacitate you.
They knew as long as I was running the game, they wouldn't stand a chance. They had to get me out of the way so you'd have to take over, and then Mr. Dugan could step in as referee again.
And it's obvious they rigged the game against you too. You tried to win for me, but Zach outsmarted you with the best hand in UNO history. But that's why we're here. This meeting is about revenge. We need to get those keys back from Mr. Rence. As long as he's on the road with those boys, no one is safe.
Amy Cowell, we need to go to the store. We need cameras. A lot of cameras. We'll put them on every street across town and catch Mr. Rence driving recklessly. Then we can use that footage to our advantage.
What do we even do with it once we have it?
I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. This plan's a bit improvised.
Then let's not waste any time. Let's go to Home Depot and pick up some cameras.
The two women stood up, their decision made. It was now or never.
Happy Valentine's Day, honey,
said the man holding out a box of chocolates.
Oh, babe, you shouldn't have. I love Valentine's Day,
said the woman, smiling.
Don't mention it,
the man replied, handing her the chocolates and a card. Just then, the window shattered and a masked man jumped through.
Who are you?
The man demanded, standing up.
I'm the Love Bandit. These are mine now,
the intruder shouted, grabbing the box of chocolates from the woman's hands.
Why are you doing this?
The man asked, shocked.
Valentine's Day is garbage. Ever since my wife divorced me, I've sworn no one will ever celebrate Valentine's Day again.
The man laughed awkwardly, but before he could say more, the Love Bandit jumped back out the broken window, chocolates in hand, and disappeared into the night.
I'm telling you, waffles are the superior breakfast food.
You get those perfect little squares to hold the syrup. It's like a syrup pocket.
Syrup pocket? That's your argument? Pancakes soak up the syrup. They become one with the syrup. You get an even, fluffy bite every time.
Fluffy? More like soggy. You don't even have control over the syrup. With waffles, you get structure, you get order.
You're missing the point. Pancakes don't need to be all neat and tidy. It's about the experience, the flavor blending with the butter. It's comfort food, man.
Comfort food? Waffles are the king of texture. Crunch on the outside, soft on the inside. Plus, waffles can handle toppings way better. Fruit, whipped cream, whatever you want.
You two are missing the obvious truth. It's all about French toast. Waffles and pancakes can't compete.
Stay out of this, Chris.
Before anyone could continue, the emergency alarm blared, cutting through the conversation. Everyone froze for a second.
Guys, we've got a situation.
What is it?
It's an alert about the Love Bandit. He struck again. This time, he's been stealing boxes of chocolates from a few couples.
Not this guy again. How many Valentine's days is he going to ruin?
Guess we've got to stop him before he hits more couples tonight.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. But for the record, waffles still win.
We'll settle this later.
As the group began gearing up, Colton was already thinking of a plan. He slipped into his uniform, tightening his gloves before turning to the others.
All right, I've got an idea. Since you can shapeshift, why don't you turn into something irresistible to the Love Bandit?
What do you have in mind?
A bouquet of flowers. Mr. Callaway can go home to his wife, give her the bouquet, which would actually be you, and we use that to lure the Love Bandit. He won't be able to resist it. Once he strikes, we'll trap him.
The group paused for a moment, absorbing the idea.
A bouquet of flowers? You want me to turn into flowers? That's different.
It's brilliant. The Love Bandit's whole deal is targeting couples and Valentine's Day stuff. They'll see those flowers as the perfect target.
Yeah, but I'm not exactly thrilled about being handed over like a gift.
Hey, it's for the greater good. Plus, my wife would love it. She's always saying I never bring home enough flowers.
I think it's hilarious. You'll make a great bouquet, Rence. Real convincing.
Mr. Dugan stepped in, tightening his boots.
It's awkward, sure, but it's our best shot at getting close to the Love Bandit without tipping him off. He won't see it coming.
All right, fine, I'll do it. But I swear if I end up in a vase on someone's table for too long, I'm not going to be happy.
You'll be fine, man. We'll make sure it goes smoothly.
The group finished suiting up and prepared to head out.
Don't worry, my wife will take good care of you.
This is officially the weirdest thing I've done in the Hero League.
Maybe, but it's going to work. Let's go catch ourselves a Love Bandit.
The team piled into Mr. Rence's sleek blue van, its polished exterior gleaming under the city lights.
Colton slid into the passenger seat while Mr. Rence took the wheel, firing up the van's powerful engine.
As the van hummed to life, Zach leaned back, looking out the window as they sped off.
This van can do supersonic speeds, right?
Chris asked from the back, strapping in.
Mr. Rence shot him a sideways glance. You better believe it.
With a sudden burst, the van shot forward, tearing down the street at a dizzying speed. Wind whipped past as buildings blurred into streaks of color, the entire cityscape flashing by in seconds. Mr. Rence grinned as he expertly handled the vehicle, weaving through traffic with ease. Within minutes, they were pulling to a stop a block away from Mr. Callaway's house.
All right, this is where we park it, Mr. Rence said, switching off the engine. You all ready for this?
Ready as we'll ever be, Mr. Callaway said, stepping out of the van. Time for your transformation.
Mr. Rence grimaced but nodded, stepping out as well. He took a deep breath and, with a shimmer of his form, he began to shrink and shift. In a matter of seconds, his body morphed into a vibrant bouquet of roses, tulips, and lilies, neatly tied with a ribbon. The flowers shimmered slightly with a faint blue glow, just enough to keep him from being a regular-looking bouquet. Mr. Callaway picked him up carefully, inspecting the flowers.
Well, would you look at that? You make a pretty convincing bouquet.
From somewhere within the bundle, Mr. Rence's muffled voice spoke up. Yeah, well, this better work. If this backfires and I end up as nothing more than a Valentine's Day decoration, I'm holding you responsible, Callaway.
Mr. Callaway chuckled, adjusting his grip on the bouquet.
Relax, Rence. I'll make sure nothing happens to you. Besides, my wife's got a vase just waiting for this gift.
Rence's voice was full of sarcasm. Oh great, a vase. My worst nightmare.
Zach leaned out the van, calling after them.
Hey, Rence, just don't wilt before the Love Bandit gets here, all right?
Mr. Rence grumbled, but there was nothing more he could do in flower form. Mr. Callaway waved to the rest of the team as he headed toward his house. Colton crossed his arms, watching from the van.
Now we wait. Let's hope the Love Bandit bites. If he shows up like we think he will, we'll be able to catch him in the act.
We'll know soon enough. That guy's got a knack for ruining romantic moments.
As Mr. Callaway approached his front door, the team stayed alert, their eyes scanning the street. The trap was set. Now it was just a matter of time before the Love Bandit made his move. From the van, the rest of the team kept a close eye on Mr. Callaway's house.
These binoculars are insane.
Colton muttered, passing them over to Zach, who eagerly took a look.
Yeah, they better be. The League put some serious cash into these gadgets.
There he goes, walking in.
Inside the house, Mr. Callaway stepped through the door, grinning as he saw his wife sitting on the couch.
Happy Valentine's Day, sweetheart.
He said, holding out the bouquet of flowers, Mr. Rence carefully cradled in his hands.
Oh, honey, you shouldn't have. These are beautiful.
She leaned in and kissed him on the cheek, admiring the flowers as she set them gently on the dining table. Mr. Rence remained perfectly still, trying his best to stay in character as a silent, motionless bouquet.
I wanted to make tonight special. You know how much I love spending Valentine's Day with you? Oh, stop. You always know just what to say.
Back in the van, Chris smirked.
This is kind of sweet. For a mission, anyway.
Focus, Chris. We're not out of the woods yet.
Just as Mr. Callaway and his wife started to lean in for a romantic moment, the front window shattered with a loud crash, sending shards of glass flying across the room. Both Mr. Callaway and his wife jumped in shock.
What the?
Mr. Callaway shouted, pulling his wife behind him. Through the broken window came the Love Bandit, dressed in his signature dark outfit, his face hidden behind a mask. He landed gracefully in the middle of the room, locking his eyes on the bouquet of flowers that Mr. Callaway's wife had just placed on the table.
That bouquet, it's mine now.
Before anyone could react, the Love Bandit made a beeline for the flowers, completely unaware that they were actually Mr. Rence in disguise. He grabbed the bouquet with both hands, lifting it triumphantly as if it were a prized treasure.
Why do you keep doing this? It's just flowers.
Ever since my wife left me, I vowed to destroy every Valentine's Day celebration. No one deserves love if I can't have it.
As the Love Bandit clutched the bouquet tightly, ready to make his escape, Mr. Rence transformed back into his regular self with a flash. The Love Bandit froze, his hands still gripping Mr. Rence's shoulders as he realized his prize was no longer flowers but a very annoyed superhero. Mr. Rence cracked his neck, glaring at the Love Bandit.
Big mistake, pal.
Back in the van, Colton dropped the binoculars and shouted,
It's showtime. Let's move.
The rest of the team jumped out of the van, sprinting toward the house to back up Mr. Rence, who was already gearing up for a showdown with the Love Bandit. Colton, Zach, Chris, and Mr. Dugan rushed from the van toward the house, the shattered window still echoing in their ears as they burst through the front door. Inside, Mr. Rence had just finished transforming back into his normal form, towering over the now stunned Love Bandit, who took a stumbling step backward.
You guys took your sweet time.
Mr. Rence muttered, cracking his knuckles as the others spread out around him. The Love Bandit quickly regained his composure, sneering as he glanced between the heroes.
You think you can stop me? You're too late. No one will celebrate Valentine's Day as long as I'm around.
Zach scoffed, stepping forward with a smirk.
You talk a big game for someone about to get their butt kicked.
With a flick of his wrist, Zach activated his telekinesis, sending several objects in the room flying toward the Love Bandit. A chair, a vase, and even a couple of framed pictures shot through the air. The Love Bandit barely dodged the barrage, leaping to the side as the furniture smashed against the wall. But the Love Bandit wasn't giving up so easily. He threw his hands out, revealing he had a few gadgets of his own. From his sleeve, he pulled out a small smoke bomb, tossing it to the ground with a wicked grin. Thick pink smoke filled the room, clouding everyone's vision.
Guys, stay sharp.
Colton called out, his voice barely audible through the thick haze. In an instant, sparks of electricity crackled around his body, the room lighting up with flashes of blue-white lightning as he powered up.
Let's clear this out.
Colton raised his hands, and with a sharp gesture he sent a bolt of lightning arcing across the room, aiming for the smoke cloud. The lightning collided with the bomb, igniting it and dispersing the smoke with a loud crack. As the air cleared, the Love Bandit had already repositioned himself, now standing on the table with Mr. Rence's discarded bouquet at his feet.
Too slow.
The Love Bandit taunted, reaching into his jacket for another device. But before he could act, Chris stepped in. His eyes narrowed as he focused on the ground. Slowly, the wooden floorboards beneath the Love Bandit began to creak and split, tiny shoots of grass pushing through the cracks.
I've got him. Time to root this guy in place.
With a swift motion, the grass erupted, thickening and snaking around the Love Bandit's ankles, winding up his legs before he could react. The Love Bandit looked down in shock as the vines tightened, holding him firmly in place.
You've got nowhere to go now.
But the Love Bandit wasn't finished yet. With a desperate effort, he reached into his belt and pulled out a small circular device, activating it with a press of his thumb. A high-pitched hum filled the room, and the grass around his legs suddenly began to wilt, the vines loosening and falling away as the device emitted an energy pulse.
What the?
Chris gasped, watching his plants die in an instant. Zach stepped forward, raising his hand.
Enough of this.
With a simple thought, Zach used his telekinesis to lift the table off the ground and send it flying toward the Love Bandit. But the Love Bandit, now free of the vines, ducked just in time, the table crashing into the wall behind him. Mr. Dugan, standing by the door, finally decided it was time to get in on the action. His eyes gleamed as he flexed his fingers, each of them extending into razor-sharp blades.
This is getting tiresome. Let's end this.
With a speed that caught the Love Bandit off guard, Mr. Dugan lunged, slashing with his bladed fingers. The Love Bandit backpedaled, narrowly dodging the attack, but one of Mr. Dugan's blades nicked his sleeve, cutting clean through the fabric. The Love Bandit winced, realizing he was outmatched.
You guys don't play fair.
That's the point.
Colton replied, lightning crackling at his fingertips. With a swift motion, Colton launched another bolt of electricity. This time, it hit its mark. The Love Bandit's body jerked as the electricity coursed through him, stunning him just long enough for Mr. Rence to step in.
That's enough out of you.
Mr. Rence said, grabbing the Love Bandit by the collar and lifting him off the ground. The Love Bandit struggled, but between Mr. Rence's grip and the lingering effects of the lightning, he was completely immobilized. Zach floated the discarded gadgets out of the Love Bandit's reach with his telekinesis, making sure there were no more tricks up his sleeve.
Looks like Valentine's Day is back on.
Colton said with a grin, the room finally settling as the team stood victorious. Mr. Callaway, checking on his wife, who was still in shock but unharmed, gave the group a thumbs up.
Nice work, team. Now what do we do with this guy?
He motioned to the defeated Love Bandit, who was still grumbling in Mr. Rence's grip.
Same thing we always do. Lock him up and let the league deal with him.
Yeah, but after we get some waffles? Or pancakes? I'm starving.
We're not having this argument again.
The group shared a laugh as they prepared to take the Love Bandit into custody, their mission successfully completed.
Let me go. I won't let you ruin my plans. No one will celebrate Valentine's Day as long as I'm around.
Yeah, save it for the report,
Colton said, rolling his eyes. He walked ahead, glancing back at the Love Bandit's futile efforts. Mr. Rence kept a firm hold, though the Love Bandit wasn't making it easy.
This guy is all talk, but man, he's squirmy.
The group reached the front yard, but the moment they stepped outside, the Love Bandit's resistance intensified. He planted his feet on the ground, dragging his heels through the grass as he struggled harder.
I'm not going in that van.
The Love Bandit shrieked, his voice rising in desperation. He managed to twist his body just enough to shove one of his gadgets from his sleeve, a small metallic sphere, toward the ground.
Heads up,
Zach shouted, reaching out with his telekinesis. The sphere floated up, but not before it began emitting a blinding flash of light. The entire street lit up as the flash exploded, momentarily disorienting the team. Mr. Rence loosened his grip just enough for the Love Bandit to yank himself free and make a mad dash toward the side of the house.
Oh no you don't.
Colton growled, his hands crackling with electricity. He shot a bolt of lightning, narrowly missing the Love Bandit as he weaved through the garden. Chris, still rubbing his eyes from the flash, shook it off quickly.
I've got him.
With a flick of his wrist, the grass in the yard responded instantly, tendrils bursting from the ground and wrapping themselves around the Love Bandit's legs again. The Love Bandit tripped, crashing face first into the dirt.
Not again.
He whined, struggling as the grass tightened its grip. Zach, regaining his senses, used his telekinesis to lift the Love Bandit off the ground, pulling him through the air.
All right, enough of this nonsense. You're not getting away.
Put me down!
The Love Bandit yelled, twisting and turning midair. He fumbled for another gadget, but this time Mr. Dugan was ready. With a swift flick of his fingers, Mr. Dugan extended one of his blades, slicing the gadget out of the Love Bandit's hand. The small device clattered to the ground, sparking uselessly.
No more toys.
Mr. Rence, finally recovered, opened the van's side door.
You're going in the back, and you're staying there.
He said, glaring at the Love Bandit. Zach carefully floated the Love Bandit into the van, securing him against the wall with some heavy-duty restraints designed for these types of situations.
There, all safe and sound.
The Love Bandit struggled a bit more, but he was clearly out of tricks.
You won't stop me! I'll break free! Valentine's Day is doomed!
He yelled, but the fight had drained out of his voice. Colton, leaning against the side of the van, crossed his arms.
Yeah, sure, but for now, you're gonna sit there and think about what you've done. Maybe we'll even send you some chocolates in prison. Oh wait, you hate those.
Zach chuckled as he closed the van door with a heavy thud.
That's a wrap. Let's get him back to HQ.
You know, if I have to drive you all the way back to HQ, the least you could do is not make a mess back there.
The Love Bandit glared but remained silent, finally realizing there was no escape.
Now that this is all sorted, can we finally get something to eat? I don't know about you guys, but I'm starving.
Waffles?
Fine, waffles.
The team laughed as the van pulled away from the curb, the Love Bandit grumbling quietly in the back as they sped off toward Hero League headquarters. The blue van pulled up to the towering Hero League headquarters, its sleek exterior glowing under the lights of the city. The team exited the vehicle, dragging the now-defeated Love Bandit toward the building's entrance.
All right, Love Bandit, time to meet your new home.
They guided him inside, the villain still muttering under his breath. They reached the elevator, an unassuming metal door in the middle of the spacious lobby. Mr. Rence tapped the button and with a soft ding, the doors slid open. The group shoved the Love Bandit inside, crowding in after him.
This doesn't look so bad. An elevator ride to a prison? How original.
You're in for a surprise.
As soon as the button was pressed, the elevator jolted, and then, without warning, it dropped. Fast. Really fast. The Love Bandit's eyes widened as the walls of the elevator blurred around him.
What's happening?
The group, completely unfazed, stood calmly in the elevator as it sped downward at a breakneck pace. Chris leaned against the side, casually glancing at his fingernails. Zach yawned. Mr. Dugan tapped his blades together, clearly used to the ride by now. Meanwhile, the Love Bandit was freaking out, his arms flailing as the gravity shift threw him off balance.
Why is it going so fast? This can't be safe.
Relax, you'll get used to it. We ride this thing all the time.
Used to it? This is insane.
The elevator continued its rapid plunge for what felt like minutes to the Love Bandit, but was only a few seconds in reality. Finally, with another ding, the elevator came to a sudden, smooth stop. The doors slid open, revealing the dimly lit basement of the Hero League headquarters, the area reserved for holding cells. The team stepped out, dragging the disoriented Love Bandit with them. His legs wobbled as he tried to regain his balance after the harrowing elevator ride.
I'll take stairs next time.
Good luck with that.
They approached the row of high-tech containment cells, each one reinforced with energy fields and thick glass walls.
All right, this is where the fun ends for you. Pick a cell.
The Love Bandit, realizing he was nearing the end of the line, began to struggle again. He shoved his elbow into Colton's side, breaking free for a split second.
I'm not going in there. You'll never take me.
Before he could even take a step, Mr. Dugan moved in with blinding speed, extending his finger blades and positioning them in front of the Love Bandit's throat.
Move again, and I'll make sure you don't leave here with all your limbs intact.
Okay, no need for that.
With Mr. Dugan's threat still hanging in the air, the Love Bandit stopped resisting, though his expression was full of defiance.
You really thought you could escape?
Colton tightened his grip on the Love Bandit's arm again.
Let's finish this.
They guided the Love Bandit to an empty cell. Zach hovered his hand over the control panel, activating the energy field surrounding the transparent cell walls.
This is it for you, buddy. Hope you enjoy the view.
The Love Bandit tried to shove back, but with Mr. Rence and Colton both holding him, his attempts were useless. He stumbled into the cell, crashing against the back wall. He spun around, pounding his fists against the energy barrier, but it didn't so much as flicker.
I'll get out. You can't keep me in here forever.
Keep telling yourself that.
Mr. Rence chuckled, stepping back as the energy field solidified, trapping the Love Bandit inside. Zach crossed his arms.
You're going to have a lot of time to think about where you went wrong.
Well, another mission accomplished. Time to get back upstairs.
As the team headed back toward the elevator, the Love Bandit slumped in the corner of his cell, glaring at them through the energy field.
You haven't won. Valentine's Day will be mine again.
But the team didn't seem worried. The elevator doors closed behind them, and the Love Bandit's muttering was drowned out by the hum of the containment field around him. He was exactly where he belonged, and Valentine's Day was safe, for now. Connor sat behind his large mahogany desk in his office, skimming through reports from various missions. His short, dark hair was neatly combed, and his sharp eyes scanned each page with focus. The commander of the Hero League, and son of President Carl, had become known for his tactical mind and no-nonsense approach to running the league. He sighed, leaning back in his chair, when the door slid open and Colton, Zach, Chris, Mr. Dugan, and Mr. Rence entered the room. Their arrival pulled him from his paperwork.
Ah, the team's back. I take it you've taken care of the Love Bandit situation.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. The Love Bandit put up a bit of a fight, but we got him locked up in one of the cells downstairs.
Didn't seem like he was working with anyone else, just a rogue with some gadgets and a grudge against Valentine's Day.
And you're sure it's just him? We've had issues with him slipping through the cracks before. This time, we made sure he's not going anywhere. He tried to pull some of his usual tricks, but he's locked down tight. Plus, Mr. Dugan made sure he didn't get a second chance to run.
Mr. Dugan stood silently, his fingers tapping lightly on the handle of one of his chairs.
He's secure. The containment field will hold him, no matter what gadgets he had left.
Connor nodded, satisfied with their responses, though his expression remained serious.
Good. The last thing we need is him escaping again and ruining more holidays.
I still can't believe we had to use me as bait. A bouquet of flowers. That was a new low.
Sounds like it worked though. Sometimes you've got to think outside the box, or in your case, outside the vase.
The group chuckled, but Connor's expression quickly returned to business.
So, what's your assessment of the Love Bandit this time around? Any upgrades to his gadgets?
Nothing too advanced. He had a few smoke bombs, flash grenades, and something that could neutralize Chris's plants for a bit. He's got a solid understanding of tactical tech, but nothing we couldn't handle.
Connor tapped his fingers on the desk, thinking.
All right. I'll have the tech division check the gadgets we recovered to make sure there's nothing new we missed. You all did well. Quick, clean, no major issues.
It was mostly smooth, though if I have to hear the Love Bandit complain about how no one should celebrate Valentine's Day one more time.
Connor chuckled softly, leaning forward on his desk.
The guy's got issues, but that's why we're here. To make sure people like him don't ruin things for everyone else. Speaking of which, I want to commend you all for handling this efficiently. It's Valentine's Day, and instead of enjoying it, you're out there doing the league's work.
Just another day at the office.
Connor stood up, signaling the end of the debriefing.
Take the rest of the night off. You've earned it. I'll handle the rest of the report to President Carl.
I'm taking you up on that, Commander.
Connor watched them go, a small smile on his face before sitting back down and returning to his paperwork. The Love Bandit was locked away, the streets were safe again, and the League's heroes were already planning their next mission. Just another day in the Hero League.